Hi, good morning. This is Enda here, and today I'm going to take you into some of my Unreal virtual scenes, architectural scenes, and virtual film sets. The scene you're looking at here is a representation of Trinity College long room library. I've never been here in person myself, but it's where the Book of Kells is stored. And basically, my client required me to recreate from video and online video and photo reference to create in detail in 3ds Max the long room library. And here I'm showing a section, a quadrant that I created inside of 3ds Max, and then I created a modular setup where I duplicated and instanced the static meshes. This is the base mesh, so this entire long room is created from three separate meshes and just modularly attached together. The busts of the scientists is created from photogrammetry assets, and the furniture you see and the textures are all created inside 3ds Max in Vray, and then export as a Datasmith file, import into Unreal from Datasmith. And some of the wooden textures were recreated in Substance Designer and brought into Unreal and set up in Unreal from a base new material asset. So basically, yeah, all the materials, V-Ray materials go across through Datasmith, and then you can also set up your materials inside of Unreal. So you got a choice of both worlds. The character you've just seen is from Mixamo. Sometimes I often take the static meshes from Mixamo and add some animations and bring it in. I also create my own meshes, character meshes, but Mixamo is great for creating the animations. This second scene is a representation of the Alhambra Palace in Andalusia. It's the Moorish palace when Islam ruled in Spain back many centuries ago. So this is the previous scene. The long room was for a virtual film set where you would have it displayed on an in-display screen. On LCD screens you'd have actors instead of a blue screen or green screen. But this scene here is for a cinematic architectural visualization for marketing purposes and for a VR architectural viz exploration. So this entire scene was created in 3ds Max. All the textures were applied in 3ds Max, and then everything was exported across with Datasmith. So you just got to make sure you can see at the top of my toolbar the Datasmith plugin is already enabled. Here you can see I've got to set up the colliders. This scene I just spent half an hour bringing it into Unreal. It's work in progress, so you got to just set up all the colliders on the ground plane and on some of the assets like the waterfall and the trees. Here I'm showing the Datasmith asset that was created in 3ds Max and is brought across into Unreal. Also looking at the plugins, also V-Ray. So I enable, each of my scenes I enable V-Ray for Unreal and Datasmith if you're working with architectural projects. And then basically I set up my lighting and I set up my your post-processing. You set up your light mass volume, you set up your lighting, your shadows, bloom, depending on the scene, your exposure settings. This next scene is a sample of a realistic scene from a concept of a library, similar to what you would have in Oxford University, an old Victorian library with aged wood textures, and you can see tile flooring. You can see all the you get the balconies, the balustrades, the columns. And this scene is set up for a virtual film set where you can project this on LCD screens in a studio and then have actors act against this virtual set. And in a scene like this, this is a real-time scene. It's got to be performant and it's got to have high resolution textures up close. So yeah, so this is a sample scene. It's just an interior scene, and this is an exterior scene where you You have to work a lot with the lighting, setting up all the lighting, setting up the ambient occlusion is important, setting up the post-processing, your lights, shadows, exponential fog, volumetric fog, and then bringing in all the assets. This scene is primarily composed of megascans from Quixel. It's all photogrammetry assets taken by artists, built up over a collection over many years, which you can procure and buy and use in your projects. This asset here, the walk bridge, is a photogrammetry asset that I had created myself. So you can have a mixture of downloaded content from Quixel, or you can also have the your own photogrammetry assets. So I'm just zooming out here just to show you the extent of the world. In the background you can see I've got a from World Machine or World Creator. I can create the terrains, the world terrains with the auto material applied, or sometimes I just use height maps from Google Maps or from SketchUp. Here you can see detail of one of the scanned assets of a cliff. You can see some of the detail of these sycamore trees. Basically, I have a library of popular trees, coniferous, evergreen. You can populate your environment with rivers, waterfalls, and basically that is a representation of Connemara and Galway for a client. So they will be able to put actors in that scene, and then it will look like a realistic scene. It's just an area of Ireland where it's hard to kind of get a film crew together. So basically, this again is a work in progress. Once this is finished, the actors are put in place, and it'll just look like a real background. So you're trying to achieve realism in an organic exterior environment. Here I'm just I'm having a look at some of these assets. This asset here is from Megascans. Right, this is a rock, a photogrammetry scanned 4K asset, and you can modularly populate your environment how you wish. This is a photogrammetry asset from Spain that I procured online. I purchased of a Spanish castle. Basically, I have a library of many different types of runes, different types of styles and architecture. This is a 4K drone scan, and again, it blends seamlessly with all of the 3D content, the photogrammetry content, the megascan content, and that is an exterior scene of Connemara in Ireland with some of the sample elements. This next scene was for a virtual film set for a client, and it's based on Croagh. It's a hill in Ireland, not a mountain but a hill, but actually you can see the character walking through some of the assets there. I got to set up some colliders, and so this is built from height maps to create the surrounding terrain. So the correct specific geolocation height map of this area in Mayo in Ireland, and of course you can use online resources to find those height maps, and then you can apply to a landscape, and then you can sculpt that landscape. The chapel is created in 3ds Max, and materials applied in Unreal. These assets I'm clicking on here are again Megascan Quixel assets. I've got a character in the background from Mixamo with animations applied, and I have my light volume set up, and I got my reflections, and you can see in the distance I've set up exponential fog is important, volumetric fog is important also, just to tweak the exposure and color correction settings. And basically that's it. That's some of the internal and external scenes in Unreal for Realtime. So thank you very much for glancing at my video, and please check out the other videos here at the end of the video. Thank you, and signing off. Bye bye.